All right.
So,
Welcome back to the Doyledin podcast. Now that we have taken a break from wrestling, we watched Long Legs. A lot has happened since then. Do you want to start us off? What's the first thing you want to talk about?
well, I think we need to go back last week. I mean, we just had Raw last night, but we need to go back last week for a couple of big things that happened. Um, you know, our Truth came back and wants to go by the name Ron Killings now instead, right?
R
So,
Killings.
R Killings.
Yeah, Ron
Uh,
Killings.
but he did a promo on the announcer's desk, which I thought was cool. Break from the normal in ring or backstage, uh, and he proceeded to cut off his dreads to kind of show that he's a free man and a new man, and you know the truth will set you free.
Yeah, right after our episode came out too. It's like they were watching us. We even said, there's only so much you could do with our truth, and then boom, there it is.
Yeah,
Just
you got to
immediately,
change it up.
changed it for,
Yeah,
and we'll find out if it's for better or for worse. But
yeah. I think, I think it's good in the short term. I mean, unless you're planning on putting a belt on him or something. If you put him in a big high profile program now after not renewing his contract and then renewing it because the fans went ape shit, and now you bring him back and you kind of let him dwindle, it's not going to be good for longevity, right? It's so they got to do something big with him. They got to put him over somehow. I love that he's attacking Cena and getting back in with that program and being in that mix. That's huge for him. um but they got to do so. They can't drop the ball. They cannot
yeah,
drop the ball.
fuck these fans, because they're just gonna, right when you know this story ends with Ron Killings and Cena or whatever, nobody's gonna talk about it. Nobody's gonna care anymore. And it's just, I that's just my opinion. I think nobody's gonna give a damn anymore. Um, you know, and also, not only was our truth going to be released, but Carlito was, and nobody's talking about Carlito. And I really like Carlito. I think he's a phenomenal wrestler, and nobody is bringing up the fact that he's not going to be coming back. You know,
Well, you should hop onto X and cry and whine like the rest of them.
no, that's what this show's for.
Well, cry and whine too much here, but I get your point. But
Yeah,
you know, Carlito had just come back. He was gone for a long time, and he's not really a mainstay. And I, our Truth had that whole lovable side of him that really had a connection with the audience, right? So I can see where they're coming from, but still, I don't like giving in to
yeah,
the means of this very few that sound bigger than they really are, internet wrestling community.
yeah,
I think you stick to your guns, and it would have been a perfect time for Cena to come out and go, "Yeah, I'm the one that got him fired. Screw you,
yeah,
because I knew you loved him so much." You
yeah,
know that would have been great. But not to say I'm not happy to see him back. I am, because he's a tremendous dude, and he has a lot to offer still, I believe, because you look at him and he looks half his age.
yeah. He looks
Um, you know,
incredible.
oh yeah, you know. So as again, they have to be really good with the creative on him. They have to make sure that this goes somewhere, and even if it's not a world title, um, you know, once that program ends with Cena, it's got to be picked up somewhere else, unless then the contract's up and then it's gone. But it's got to be something more after that, and it's got to involve a deep storyline or a different title. He has to have something. You got a lot of wrestlers who need a belt, who need a title to be able to keep them elevated. Some wrestlers don't need it, like Jey Uso doesn't need it. Sure, it helped a little bit, but the belt came off him. He still is over as hell with the crowd, right? He came out this week with no belt. I believe it was the main event again, and he was as over with that live crowd as he's ever been. So, But somebody like R-Truth, to keep him relevant, especially if he's not doing the funny haha gimmick anymore, you got to put something on him to keep him lovable and the crowd wanting more from him, in my opinion.
They're gonna drop the ball with it. They're not gonna do it. I mean,
That's true.
we talked off camera, and you uh were talking about how they can do a sort of Austin gimmick with him of just just be his own thing, do his own thing, just go off the rails, and you're not gonna know what's coming next from Austin, just like we hope that we're not gonna know what's coming next with Ron Killings, and we're kind of seeing that a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know. I
Yeah,
feel like he should be bashing the company a little bit more, being like, "You guys didn't want me. The fans wanted me. Screw you guys. I'm gonna do what I want to do."
yep, I totally agree, and I
Yeah.
think, he came out and attacked Cena after that whole promo where Orton and a couple other guys came out on Raw, and LA Knight, and
Yeah.
I forget who else it was, but it'd be perfect for Ron Killings to also jump them, not just John Cena, you know?
100%.
And, I hate everybody who represents the company because the company wanted to destroy me. And this is the truth because the truth will set you free. And you can't
There
handle the
you
truth.
go.
And that should be a shirt. You can't handle the truth. Just like in the movie, right?
Yeah.
With Tom Cruise. Um,
Mission Impossible.
but yeah, no, not definitely not possible. Uh, uh, but yeah, so that was a huge part of that Raw, and it was great to see Ron back, and it was great to see him get that reception from the crowd, and the holy shit moment when he cut his dreads, and uh, I'm just very interested to see where it goes from here. I don't want him to get pegged in with just John Cena because, like you said, after Cena leaves, then what? They got
Yeah.
to start putting him putting the gears together here for something else to go. And I think everybody is so on the John Cena train that he's going to eventually get lost on that. And you know, we know well, we would think that they won't put the world title on Ron Killings. I mean, him to take the title off Cena would be like seriously.
Agreed.
Um, so being in that mix, I mean, he's got to do more than just jump Cena. He's got to jump everybody, in my opinion, and just be the total I don't give a shit guy anymore.
Yeah. And do you think that we're gonna see that, or do you think it's just gonna kind of be just whatever right now?
I don't know. WWE ever since, and this is not a knock on Vince. Vince had his style, which obviously worked for many, many, many years, and it was a great style. I love Vince's style of booking and how he treats creative. Um, but this style of creative is more long term booking with storylines. Um, you know, Bailey getting removed at WrestleMania, now coming out because Becky Lynch stole her title shot. We're seeing a lot of stuff. You go back 6, 8 months. Oh shit, that happened. Now we're seeing the continuation of that, and where it's almost like a whole new part of that storyline that maybe was forgotten but was still lingering, and now it's brought up to go, holy shit, yeah, that makes sense. Which I think is a great way to go as well. um these new long-term storylines are really starting to pay off,
Hmm.
and you can go back, like I said, especially with the Bailey thing right now, to WrestleMania where she got jumped by Becky, and now we're bringing up this whole, you jump me and I want my title shot back, and that happened this week on Raw, so we'll get to that here in a little bit. But let's go back to last week's Raw again and talk about the big title change we haven't had a chance to talk about yet, and that was Gunther reclaiming his
Yes. My favorite right
WWE.
now, Gunther and
So
Chad Gable are my two
yeah,
faves right now. So yeah,
it's not surprising you love the heels.
gotta love the heels, man. The heels
Love
make
the
the
heels.
story go smoothly. They
They
if
do.
without them, we wouldn't have a good story.
The right heels, yes,
The right
absolutely.
heels.
But
Correct.
Gunther
Correct.
was
Correct.
so good. I mean, he's great. He's incredible. And I think it was the right move. S- I knew something was coming. I didn't know it was going to be that. Um, but the streaming numbers haven't been so great on Netflix. I mean, they're good, but not where they want them to be. So I figured something was they were gonna do something on the show to really boost some numbers. Didn't expect him to take the title off Jey Uso that quick, but I totally get it. Again, Jey Uso does not need the title. He is still over, right? So if you have a title on somebody who's already over huge without it,
Hmm.
well, that's not gonna bring in any extra numbers, right? That's not really gonna draw the revenue unless he has somebody who's a big threat to that belt. And really, they don't really have anybody except for Gunther, who made sense to go after after the title.
Yeah.
But another thing for me is, you look at the live crowd and Jey Uso is so over, right? And that song is pumping and he gets to the ring and the song dies down, he gets the mic and he calls for it again. And it's another 2 or 3 minutes of that. That's great for the live crowd. That is tremendous. That helps sell merch, all that great stuff. Absolutely. Sends the people home happy, adds a few minutes to the show, makes it go longer. Um, but for the people at home, I don't think it's translating as well because I'm sitting there watching the TV. Here comes, okay, that's cool. Okay, he's in the ring. Now I gotta wait another 3 minutes. People at home, they got that remote. They don't want to stick around just
Yeah.
to hear him talk and say the same kind of stuff he said last week. Get it out, spit it out, let's go,
Well,
and
I
those
also feel like that's a great, it's a good time to use the bathroom or like get some snacks or something. You know he's going to be on there for a while. Let's just, all right, whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm going to eat myself to the bathroom, eat some turds out of
yeah,
me, you know.
but some people might just turn it off and not come back, like, that's the
Yeah.
thing, and that's why I don't know if there's a way to gauge that like there is on cable, I'm not sure, but, it's not translating, and I think moving the belt from him to a heel and then setting up the storyline out with Goldberg, I think was a good move, that definitely puts some interest now in the championship.
Yeah.
I think the interest in the championship got lost because you're concentrating more on the character of Jey Uso than you are on the title. And not a knock on Uso, but I wasn't buying him as a world champion. You know, he's always got this scared face on him when he's dealing with a heel, and or this I don't know what to do next kind of face. I don't know if that's part of who they want him to be, or if that's just a natural thing. But it doesn't come across and doesn't scream world champion to me. Where you have Gunther, who's looks confident, looks like a alpha male, and I can
Prestige.
yeah, absolutely, and I can buy into him being a world champion,
Yeah.
and he's a hell of a talent. So having a belt on him, I think, makes more sense. And if you're gonna put it back on another baby face, it's not somebody who's got all this hype and drama of 5 minute entrances, before you get to the meat of the world champion. For me, that doesn't work.
Yeah, I would like to see actually a feud between Ron Killings and Jey Uso. I mean, you look at when R-Truth was, doing really good with the crowd, he would have the same kind of what's it called? Kind of aura, of
Mhm.
comes out, what's up, what's up, what's up, all that stuff. Have Ron Killings come out and bash Uso and be like, dude, you're just following me. You're just doing what I was doing, and
Mhm.
that's what ended up getting me released. And now here I am. I'm gonna give you the truth because the truth will set you free. You know,
Yeah.
maybe have a little feud with them. But I don't think I don't know what they're doing with Ron Killings. I mean, Cena's a heel, so and I don't know if they're gonna keep him Ron Killings a face or maybe he's like a little neutral. But I don't know, it'd be something interesting that I'd like to see.
Yeah, I don't see them turning him heel anytime soon because, they brought him back because the fans wanted him back. So they got to capitalize on that, sell the merchandise, and put him in a good storyline with another heel, and keep that train going until it burns out. I mean, pretty much that's what they do, right? I mean, that's what
Yeah,
promotion of a character is. Um, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's just it's really interesting right now. I just want to see more from Ron Killings as far as a
Yeah,
character, not just be this one dimensional issue with John Cena.
agreed.
I want it to be more, and he's got to bring more to the table. So hopefully they do that. Hopefully they offer more from the Ron Killing side of thing, and
More
if he
from Jey Uso too.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we'll see what happens. But then then we got the SmackDown that Friday,
Hmm.
and didn't really watch the whole show,
Yeah, I don't really
but
pay
then
attention to SmackDown.
four fatal four ways on the one show, which was a lot. Some good matches, but they're doing the king and the queen of the ring qualifiers right now. So, you got people qualifying left and right, and
Ha-
Sami Zayn and go ahead.
Have you ever been a fan of those, like of the Rings and like Queen of the Rings? I feel like it's just kind of like it's a moniker you could put on these people that aren't gonna get the title anytime soon. That's what it feels like. Of like, all
Well,
right,
that's what it is. It's to help elevate these guys who maybe, they're not in the championship storyline right now, but here's something to put them up on a pedestal a little bit
yeah,
and, give them some more recognition and help get them over a little bit more. It makes them a little more important to the brand. Uh, you go back to the very first King of the Ring and forwards, I think Hacksaw Jim Duggan was the first one, and you've had Haku, and then my favorite one was the one that Bret Hart won, where he wrestled 3 matches in one night and became the King of the Ring, and I think that's the only time they ever actually did a 3 match in one night card for the King of the Ring, and now it's all these fatal four ways, and then it's the finals on the pay per view, so.
yeah. So
But
do you just kind of think it's whatever? Because I've never really like put any merit to it.
no,
Just kind of just like, whatever.
no, I like it because it's one of those bragging things, and I like when a heel wins it because it's one of those things a heel can really. I'm the king, I'm the queen. They don't have to have the belt, they don't have to be the champion, but here they are bragging because they're still the king of the ring or the queen of the ring, and they're better than you. And like Booker T when he won it, man. Again, Bret Hart, my favorite of all time, so that pay-per-view was great for me, and I
Hmm.
enjoyed the hell out of it, but as far as the greatest King of the Ring goes, Booker T for sure, and how he played it off after that with his wife Sharmell as the queen, and he took on this, uh attempted English accent and I mean, it's so awesome, and that's what they need to do is utilize that into, major storylines. It's just
Hmm.
another storyline that they can have on the weekly episodes. So if the world title's over here and that's keeping those guys busy, intercontinental titles over here keeping these guys busy, tag team championships over here keeping these. Now you have a King of the Ring over here keeping these guys. It just adds more like holy shit, I can't miss this because the King of the Ring is on. He's the king, even though it doesn't mean anything, you know?
Yeah.
It's just another title that makes him more important or her more important and adds to another storyline. So I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Again, it just has to be executed correctly and put on the right person who can, again, roll with it and just be the obnoxious king or queen. I don't like when a babyface wins it because You know, you don't want a babyface going around, "I'm the king of the ring, I'm the queen of the ring." Like Steve Austin when he won it, right? He threw the crown down and gave his whole promo of 316, and that started off the whole Austin 316 thing. So if a babyface is gonna win it, they have to kind of reject the crown and the robe and all that stuff and not be that obnoxious person and kinda just go opposite way and say, I already know I'm the king, but screw you guys. I don't need no
Yeah.
stupid crown. I'm still, you know, your dude, or your dudette.
Yeah. Or like something like now that I'm the king of the ring, I'm going after the belt now. Like that's it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. But if a heel wins it, I'm the king every
Yeah.
week. I'm the king. I'm the queen. You know, and just be that obnoxious heel. But so yeah, so that's going along nicely, and then we have Raw again this week, and that was pretty interesting. I thought, uh, We had a lot going on,
Mhm.
and I think that we've seen, I think, more compacted storylines in the last week here, after they changed the title over from Jey Uso to Gunther. So uh, we have Goldberg returning, right? Your favorite, it seems.
Oldberg.
What's your beef?
Oldberg.
What's your beef with Bill Goldberg?
So I'm never gonna bash a wrestler for how they wrestle because look at me. I'm just a schlub. What am I gonna do? I know my place. I'm not gonna, comment on anybody's wrestling or anything, but I just don't find him entertaining, especially the past times he's come back. I'm just like, this is all he's got. He looks a little rusty. And again, I what do I know? I'm just a schlub behind a camera. But there's just nothing entertaining about him, in my opinion. Everything that I've seen with him the past times he's come back has just kind of been like, all right, buddy, like it just feels like you're here to collect a paycheck. It just feels like you're here because you needed to buy another car or something. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's just like I just don't care. I don't care. It's like the same thing with the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. It's like, of course, Jake Paul is going to win against a dude who's past his prime, you know, and it's the same thing with this. Is like you have Gunther versus Goldberg, and you, Goldberg's way past his prime. He was sweating just getting to the ring. Like, no one to stop, no one to be like, all right, maybe I'm good. Maybe I'm good not to wrestle anymore, or whatever. But it's just, I just don't like it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Just doesn't make sense
Yeah,
to me. Um, but I don't know. How do you feel about it?
yeah. It's interesting because there's just only so many ways you can do this, right? I mean, here comes Goldberg coming back. If you put Goldberg, who is past his prime and he's still in great shape, no doubt, was never a great wrestler. I have no problem in saying that about wrestlers. Um, but put him over Gunther, who's an incredible athlete and your brand new champion, two-time champ, would be in my opinion, not good for Gunther. Um, unless he gets retribution somehow down the line, but it would have to be quick. Um, but then again, bringing Goldberg back and putting Gunther over Goldberg would be kind of like, well, what's the point of bringing him back? So Gunther can't go over clean. So my theory is, and I know I shared this with you earlier, is, here we go with a quick match. Gunther gets in there. Goldberg gets some moves on him, goes for the spear. Gunther rolls out of the ring. And then here comes, when Goldberg goes to get him, here comes Braun Breaker, and he does his spear on the outside on Goldberg. And Gunther is the new member of that faction with Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and I always draw somebody's name in blank here. Bronson Reed. Good
There he
lord.
is.
Getting old sucks. Um,
What?
so
Getting old sucks.
yeah.
Oldberg.
Oh,
Oldberg.
I guess I'm Oldberg. Um, but then that leaves, and I think this is a good idea. You're welcome, because now you have Gunther the champion, right? So obviously that's a disqualification, right? And then Goldberg can still get back up and maybe do some moves on some of the guys, leave happy. But I love this because Seth Rollins has the money in the bank, and now you have Gunther on the same team with a world title. And there's always going to be that, hey, is this guy going to screw me over? No, man, we're on the same team. Don't worry about it. I'm going to go after Cena's belt. Don't worry about it. I'm going to go after it. And it's a good opportunity down the line for them to turn Gunther babyface, jump him, take his belt. And then now Gunther has to chase back as a babyface, which is something he can team up with Jey Uso on, and all of a sudden these two enemies who have so much mutual respect for one another, and they've just said, we're 1-1, but they don't have to get that rubber match just yet. That can be further down the line. Again, long time storytelling, right? So they can have a win over each other right now, but then join forces for a little while have a big breakup eventually, and then go for that rubber match again. But I think for this, you know, initial period right now with Goldberg in there, I would love to see Gunther as part of that group. I think he fits in perfectly. He's good on the mic, like most of those guys are. Um, and he's a hell of an athlete, a hell of a wrestler, um, or sports entertainer. But I think he's perfect for that group, and I love the tension that could be there between him and Seth Rollins that could lead eventually to that, you know, babyface turn.
So you don't think Seth Rollins will cash it in during that match?
Well, see, no, I don't think he should. I mean, we always see that. We always see, okay, Money in the Bank, and then within a month or two or whatever, they go ahead and cash in, and you know, but they have a whole year. Why not extend it out? And again, with this long, you know, storytelling from WWE these days, why not wait almost a year to cash it in? 9 months. You know, why does it have to be right now? Let him carry it around for 9 months. Let him dangle that in front of Gunther's face. You
Okay,
know,
yeah.
I mean, that to build that tension up over the next 8 to 9 months, where you're like, "Oh, is this the time where he turns on Gunther?" Because they come down during Gunther's matches to have his back, or is it to have his back? Is it to turn on him and take the title? Now I'm interested. Now I'm invested in watching Gunther every week because I don't know if Seth's gonna turn on him or not. And you could do that for 9 months. And,
Interesting.
you know, that would be I think that would be a hell of a storyline to take us all the way to, the Royal Rumble, you know?
So,
And,
so you think they're bringing back Goldberg just to do that?
no, I think this is Goldberg's retirement match. It's in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where he's, based out of, and that's where he wrestled, for WCW for all those years and his winning streak and all that. Um, so I think that this is, a retirement match of some sort,
I hope so. I don't want to see him
Yeah,
anymore.
I know, but yeah, I think that's in my opinion, that's the best way to go with this.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know. I just think Gunther as a character can see himself above being part of a faction like that. I don't think there's any reason for Gunther to join a faction like that. Um, just given his character, and I just don't really,
Well,
I don't see it.
I think that's part of the deal, though, is like he knows that if he joins that faction, that the deal is Money in the Bank will not affect him. That he's been told, we promise you, if you come join us, Seth won't cash in on you. Okay,
But I
I
just,
protect my own back.
I
But then
just
they
don't,
turn on
I don't think Gunther would be like, all right, come at me, see what happens. I'm Gunther. Like,
no, I'm not against those three big guys. That's
I
you know,
guess.
you look at the faction and their heels, and you put them over and say, oh yeah, I'd rather be with you than against you. And I think it's just storyline, it's just storytelling.
All right. I mean, it would do a lot for the faction. You'd be like, oh shit, they got Gunther now. Like, they got
Yeah,
Braun Breaker and Gunther.
yeah.
Oh man. But but yeah. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. I just I think it's wishful thinking. I think it's gonna be very disappointing. I expect to be disappointed in this. And maybe that's a good thing because no matter what happens, maybe I'll be happy because I'm already expecting to be disappointed. But I don't know. I don't know. I
Be an
just
optimist, not a pessimist.
yeah, but I don't know. Every time I've been optimistic, I've just been let down. I don't know. When it comes to to WWE. Um,
Well, maybe just say screw it and just hey, whatever happens, happens.
yeah,
Enjoy
yeah,
it.
yeah. Screw it. Whatever happens, happens.
One of my favorite parts of this past Monday's Raw was
What was it?
having Corey Graves back on commentary.
Okay.
I love his commentary. I think he's a hell of a commentator, and we talked about having a pure heel commentator. He, in my opinion, will be perfect. He's a good-looking dude. He's got the tats. He's got that history of being a wrestler, right?
It's
And he's been
unfortunate
in the
that he can't wrestle anymore,
it is unfortunate.
but
Oh, yeah. He was actually really good.
yeah.
Um, but he's got the longevity, he's got the experience, and I love that he also knows the history of pretty much everybody that's there. So I think that he would be a tremendous heel commentator to have him and Michael Cole together. Sorry, Pat McAfee, as much as
Get him out
I
of
like you.
there. Get
Yeah, I
Pat
think
McAfee out of there. Go back to ESPN or whatever
SmackDown.
whatever he was doing before they dragged him in here. I don't care. Get him out. The fans
No.
might like him just because he's just this like himbo or whatever, but like I don't care, dude. I don't care. I'm tired of listening to him act the way he does. I'm tired of listening to his voice. So just get him out of there. He doesn't seem like that wrestling commentator. He seems like that I don't know, that kid next door that you don't want to play with. Like but your mom's making you play with him. Like just get him out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's a super dude from my understanding, but yeah, his commentary it just comes across as that frat boy,
Yeah.
mentality, and uh, I know he's got a great connection with Michael Cole, and Cole loves him and all that, but I would love to see just a more wrestling based heel commentator mix it up with Cole and play off each other, and it would be tremendous.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. And
And then we got
hopefully Corey Graves can be that person. Sorry to cut you off.
no, you're good, you're good. Yeah, and then we had good lord, we had Liv Morgan, um,
Ah, I hate
who's
to hear about this. Yeah. Go ahead.
working against Kerry Sane. And she had a good promo earlier in the night, and a really great promo actually earlier in the night with Dom in the ring. I thought it was actually awesome. Probably one of the best promos I've heard in a long time, and that's saying something since we've had Punk and Rollins and all those guys. But this was a solid promo, definitely the best female promo I've ever seen. But unfortunately, the match just started and she dislocated her shoulder and was taken out of there. So that really sucks because one of the best talents they have in the women's roster, not just in the ring but on the mic, and she's instrumental and detrimental to the women's storylines, in my opinion. Um, I hope that it's nothing serious and they can just pop it in and give it a week or two to
Chris.
heal. Yeah, and she can come back, because tremendous talent.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we had Oscar come back.
Oscar returned. I love
Whatever.
that.
I don't care.
No, come
No,
on,
I
man.
don't care.
Why not?
I just don't, man. I don't. She's not good on the mic. She's and I just don't care. I don't know. I don't know. With Oscar, it just is what it is. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I wasn't that thrilled. I wasn't like losing my mind. I was just like, all right, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
The women's division hasn't been the same ever since Becky Lynch got pregnant.
um, I think it's gotten way better.
And like ever since Becky Lynch left, had a baby, I just stopped caring about the women's division. I really really enjoyed her character before she left, and I was more invested into her than any of the male talent they had. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Becca's a hell of a worker. Not a huge fan of her promos these days. They just come off as forced.
Especially the
Um,
Bailey and her promo. But sorry, I'm getting ahead of ourselves.
no, no. I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, yeah, it's just like, oh my god. I mean, I know you're supposed to come across as not likable because you're a heel, but it just was more obnoxiously like, I just fucking don't want to listen to you. And if you don't shut up, I'm going to turn the channel or
Yeah.
turn the app off since it's not a channel. It's just a streaming on
Yeah, go back
Netflix.
to watching Dexter or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
something else.
What
Yeah,
else? Whatever you
it's
watch on Netflix.
yeah, but I mean, I'm not buying it. I mean, this whole intercontinental title, drama. I need less talking from Becky Lynch, in my opinion. I like Bailey's promo. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Good to see her back, and again, that's long term storytelling.
Oh, I've
I
loved
think it's
Bailey's evolution from ever since she started to now. I mean, you know,
oh yeah,
just the
yeah,
the I remember when she first came out, I did not like her at all. The
The whole
wavy
hugger,
the waving
the waving guy.
inflate yeah, those guys, then waving yeah, whatever they're called, the inflatable arm
Yeah,
flailing two mans, but
the car
um
wash dude.
yeah, it's just like, oh god, this is
Yeah,
just too
but I love
much.
that. Come the time, she was the one that s- spliced them up with a blade and was
Yeah,
done with it and turned heel. That was awesome.
yeah,
But
agreed.
yeah, no, she has definitely evolved so much, and um, she's one of those. She's almost you know reminds me of a Chris Jericho that just reinvents herself every so often in a different manner to whether it's heel or face, but just to be freshened up and keep going. And she's one of those long time veterans of the women's division at this point. I mean, she's probably been there. I don't know, 10 years or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah,
But yeah, she's a hell
who
of a
would you
talent.
think the longest woman is in the women's division right
Oh
now?
gosh,
That's
right
still
now,
wrestling.
yeah, it would probably be her and Charlotte. I think.
Not
You know.
not any of the Bella twins?
Well,
Aren't
Nikki's back now. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, Nikki. That's another thing that we didn't talk about. Nikki Bella returning, right?
Yeah.
And right away getting that was last week. She got kind of whooped by Liv with that finisher that she's got, and it was a good returning promo. Short lived. Now where does that
Ah,
whole
short-lived.
short lived? But
Ah.
where does Liv's shoulder injury now put that storyline? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
it does give Nikki Bella a few weeks to come back and talk shit, which I think she should do. And obviously, hey, Liv, don't wish injury on anybody. So I want you to get better because when you come back, I want to whoop your ass. I owe you a beating. You know, and do that. So hopefully, again, it's not a long-term injury, and it's something that they can just kind of promo around for a few weeks before getting back to it.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But
we'll see.
but yeah, and then again, the promo with Liv was awesome, and Oscar's return and all that stuff, and it was I thought it was a good Raw. It was one of the better Raws in recent memory.
Yeah, it seems like
What
the
was your
past
highlight?
couple the past couple Raws have been pretty solid. Um, as far as what I've seen uh happening on the shows. Because it makes me want to actually, stay more invested into Raw, waiting for the next episode next week, as well as SmackDown, be more invested into SmackDown because of what happened with Punk and Cena. That was on SmackDown or was that on Raw?
That was on SmackDown, I
Yeah,
believe.
Punk and
I'm trying to look
Cena,
back here.
and you have Cena basically having Punk put his money where his mouth is. You
Yeah.
know, you want a shot at the belt? We're going to Saudi Arabia. The biggest reason you were trashing the company and the biggest reason you wanted to leave the company. Uh, am I correct?
Well, it's not the I don't know if that's the biggest reason. It's definitely was brought up as part of the reason and not being supportive of that decision. Um, but either with Sami Zayn or a few of the other guys, and they ended up going too. So uh, but it is definitely interesting, especially when one of his tweets was brought back up where he went on a tirade of f words to WWE and about it. But we all say silly things here and there, and we all come around, especially when money's involved.
Yeah, definitely when money's involved, you know, you gotta do what's best for you and your family at the end of the day.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and I think things have evolved with WWE, and I think things have gotten better in Saudi Arabia because of WWE. Believe it or not, you know, there was a point the first show, from what I understand, no women were allowed. If you go back to the very first show, it was only men, and the women uh, talent, the female talent for WWE, had to cover themselves up. So there was no what you see on Raw or SmackDown, though, those that kind of gear, kind of revealing.
or NXT.
Yeah. Um, and now I believe the shows women are allowed to partake and be spectators. And I'm not sure if I don't think they're allowed to wear their costumes, but they're not as fully covered up. I don't think. I could be wrong on that, but WWE has definitely helped change the landscape over there on the perception of women, and I think that might have been part of what they've been trying to do all along. Uh, for those who want to bash WWE for whatever reason, stories that come out about you know talent or past owners or whatever, uh, they have always as much as I've known, and even when I was there, being very supportive of females and their place in the workplace. And I think this is another example of the company trying to help that, especially with Stephanie involved. Stephanie's very pro woman, as she should be. And they
Yeah,
on her have daughters, and they very much take that to heart. And I think them being involved in Saudi Arabia is a good thing. A lot of people bash WWE because, oh, you going to Saudi Arabia? It's like Punk, just like Sami Zayn and all those guys. But if they just took a step back and realized what WWE is trying to do and what they are accomplishing, it's huge. I mean, a
yeah,
company from the United States, entertainment company, is changing the perception of females in another country halfway around the world. I think that's awesome.
yeah. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
A medium like, I mean, as unique as WWE is, it's crazy that it has that much influence around the
Hmm.
world.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't think any movie would be able to do what WWE is doing. Any TV show, book, whatever, any other medium would be able to do it other than WWE, because it's just everybody loves seeing people throw each other around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody loves it, no matter where you're from. You're gonna like seeing somebody jump off the top turnbuckle, or jump off the top of a ladder, throw somebody through a table, hit somebody with a chair. The list goes on and on. And
Yeah.
it's maybe it's that caveman brain in all of us of like gladiatorial
Sure.
combat that we always enjoyed, or
Uh,
something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit it nail right in the head right there. I mean, that's exactly what it is, in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
that's inbred in all of us without us knowing it. You go back to the start of time, and you know, the whole Roman Colosseum, and that's just how life was, and that's what people would clamor to see. But yeah, you go back to the beginning of the wrestling boom in the '80s with Hulk Hogan. That was a worldwide phenom, right? It was just amazing how Hulkamania took over the world. You
Hmm.
know, in Ireland, I was just a kid. I knew what Hulkamania was. I couldn't tell you at that point what NFL was, what the NHL was, what the NBA was, but I knew what Hulkamania was. And you know, skipped a few years later, and you got Austin 316 and Degeneration X. Everybody knew what that was.
Yeah.
People. I mean, you had people like Phil Mushnick who would write in his newspaper how WWF at the time is the downfall of society because it's so popular and it's taken a hold of all of our youth, and they're teaching them crotch chops on how to say asshole and
Suck it.
what and all that, right? Yeah, and suck it and all that, and that's just the downfall of society, and but that's how popular wrestling was. It was so over, and because kids were getting suspended by telling the teachers to go suck it and doing crotch chops in the hallways, and uh, you know, trying to act like Steve Austin and all that. I mean, I used
Yeah, but we didn't know what all that meant. We didn't know what the further meaning behind it was. We just was like, it was WWE. That's it.
kids were just trying to be cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I remember, I mean, I was just getting into the business then, and hearing these stories, and like, okay, well, shit, we gotta be careful here, and You know, WWE had to even USA Network telling WWE, "Hey, you can't do this and you can't do that." And that's when Triple H and Hunter came on to do a press conference, like a presidential, press conference, and they read this whole thing like, "We've been told that we cannot say the following words between the hours of it," and they went and said the following words, and they thought they were going to get kicked off the network because they were doing the exact opposite of what they were told to do. But because they did it in such a comedic way, USA Network loved it, and they kind of relaxed it a little bit. So it was one of those things that you had to go with the flow because that was what was so popular at the time.
Yeah.
and USA Network knew it. They didn't wanna lose their baby at the time because it was getting such great ratings, you know?
Yeah.
But,
So cool.
yeah,
Such a cool
that was
it's just crazy. It's crazy because what other medium can you say has that had that much influence on the world or, as on anything? I mean, you could say, Star Wars has had a lot of influence on pop culture and whatever,
sure.
but to have it, I don't think Star Wars has ever reached that personal level of uh, relevance with people of just you know WWE has a sense of realism to it that people can gravitate more towards, and it's just
Yeah,
I don't know, just has a better way of connecting with people, um, especially
yeah.
now more than Star Wars. But I won't get into Star Wars.
No, 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 I think Star Wars has, obviously a different platform, right? But I think
Yeah,
it's definitely something that, is comparable. I mean, it really is when you look at how successful it is, even though maybe you don't like the new movies, there's a new generation that likes the new movies, just like the
I
wrestling. It's
guess.
like some of today's wrestling, I can't stomach. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? But there's a new generation of wrestling fans, and that's what they're growing up on. Jey Uso, and AJ Styles or those guys. Where I'm more, an old school guy who likes the older stuff, and
I
I don't
want
want
the
to sound
big
like,
muscular dudes going up. I want those guys like your Braun Breakers and Gunthers, and but then you have
yeah. But
yeah,
but even Shawn Michaels wasn't a big muscular dude, but he was
that's very
entertaining,
true.
and he had a great character, right? He was the Heartbreak Kid. He was who he said he was,
Yeah,
and you look at him as good looking dude, Heartbreak Kid makes sense. I want good characters who can tell a good storyline, and no matter who they're
agreed.
working with, right? And Shawn always did that. Brett always did that. Austin always did that, you know, and Cena was doing that too, So I think it's one of those things where as long as you have the right guy in the right place, no matter the body size, you can get away with it. But tell you what though, when they did transition from the big dudes of the '80s to the Shawn Michaels and Bret Harts who were a little smaller, right? Because they weren't all on certain shit. It did take a little bit of time for people to transition from, you know, seeing the big jack dudes to these smaller guys and a different kind of style of wrestling, right? So, it took time, but I think, yeah, I think bringing back some of those big dudes who are natural, not, you know, all jacked up on stuff, definitely
Agreed.
has a more appeal to it, because
Yeah,
they look like those warriors, right? A Braun Breaker, like you said, right? So
but we
we'll see
also
what
need a
happens.
little person just like Hornswoggle. Hornswoggle, man, he's I don't know. There's something about Hornswoggle that I really liked as a kid. Maybe it's just because he was little like me. I was like, let's do it,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. It's level playing field with you right there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But
No, but man, he had some great storylines, and that's just it. I mean, again, here's a guy who's shorter than the rest of them, but they put him in some good storylines that made sense and got him over for as long as he was there.
yeah, yeah. But I don't know. Do you think WWE still has that level of influence as it did back then in today's society? I mean, we've kind of talked about it already with Saudi Arabia, but like other than that, you think? I mean, you go to when they're always showing at different countries in a live audience, that those audiences in different countries are going through the roof. They are going crazier than they do over here in America, and it's just kind of like it's wild to see. It's wild to see, but I don't know. Do you think they have more of an influence than they did back then, or you think it's about the same?
I don't think I think that what you're seeing are wrestling fans who want to see wrestling, um, or sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. But I don't think they have as much influence because they don't have that guy or that group, maybe that non-wrestling fans would turn on the channel and go, "Oh, holy shit, what is that?" You know, and that's what they need. Back then it was Austin brought in people who were not wrestling fans because he was a character who booked the system and was living through everybody was living through him who has a job, right? You hate your boss. You want to tell him to go fuck off. You want to drink a beer at work. You want to, or whatever it is. The guy who just doesn't want to listen to his boss and would love to kick his boss's ass.
Yeah.
That appealed to everybody, not just wrestling fans. And that's if you look at the model that Vince built for so long, once he transitioned from the big dudes to the Shawn Michaels and Bret Harts, it was always, not who's the best wrestler. Like WCW, NWA, they try to get in the best wrestlers, like Sting, great character eventually, but they tried to play off on the wrestling abilities. Vince, on the other hand, I'm gonna try and build it off the sports entertainment aspect, which a lot of people didn't like. The true, you know, veterans of the business didn't like that because they're still stuck in the wrestling mode. But for this industry to continue, it needed sports entertainment and introducing characters that engage with people and pull people in is what Vince was great at. And that happened with Austin. That happened with Hulk Hogan. It happened with the Ultimate Warrior. You know, all the successful characters in WWE, they got over because they identified with the audience. They were able to pull in not just wrestling fans, but if I'm flicking through the channel, you hear so many of these guys who are wrestlers now or wrestlers in the last 20 years. I was at my grandma's house just one Saturday flicking through the TV and I saw this larger than life dude with all these colors on. Holy shit, I had to stop and watch it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's how they got into wrestling. It wasn't because, no offense, but it wasn't because Buddy Rogers and Ric Flair were having a 40-minute match on the mat, you know?
I
That's
take
not
all
gonna
offense. How dare you?
that's not gonna pull in some kid who's flicking through the channel.
Yeah.
Bright flashy colors, pyro, neon signs around the ring. That's what grabs your attention when
Yeah.
you're flicking through the channels, and that's what they do. And it can't be just, so when you have those if they have another character who's going to drag in people who aren't wrestling fans, that's when you have that influence over society, I guess, or culture. And that's what they did with DX and Austin and The Rock,
DX.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that Attitude Era was the best era, you know, ever for really engaging with non-wrestling fans.
Yeah.
I have a possum in my yard, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, we got to get our listeners in somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
Bring them in. Let's do an interview with the opossum.
You click like on your and subscribe on thank you. But, yeah. But they don't have that in my opinion right now, except for John Cena, they don't have somebody who's really, engaging with non-wrestling fans.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Yeet thing with Jey Uso, maybe, I don't know. But to me, that's just like, yeah, I'm with you on the eye roll. Um, but but they don't have that one mainstream guy.
It's always the one word, like the one word gimmicks that these wrestlers pull that I don't know. For some reason it does well with the wrestling crowd. I have no
Well, it's a
idea.
catchphrase.
What's up?
It's a catchphrase. It's a catchphrase.
Okay.
It's like, hey, I'm gonna say this every week, and you're gonna repeat this or say this part of it, and you're gonna be part of the show. Awesome. I'm gonna be part of the show. And that's what the whole if you smell The Rock is cooking, people, finally The Rock has come back to, and people would do it as well. It, and that's the bottom line because Steve, if you want me to open up a can of whoop ass, give me a hell yeah, the whole crowd, hell yeah. See, I'm part of the show now. That's what engages people. And
Okay.
if a non-wrestling fan sees that, it's like, that's fucking cool. You know? How is he getting everybody to do this? And then they're part of it, and it's like a lot of wrestling fans want to be a part of the show. And if
Yeah.
you have some way of letting them engage, and if that means being, part with, our truth was so over because he was singing with the crowd and the crowd could sing along with him. You know, if you even look at, even Chris Jericho, even as a heel, in AEW, when his music hits, the crowd sing along with it. The crowd will sing along with it. If there's something for them to engage with, they're in, and you have them hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. But I don't know. I
But
feel
then
like Jey Uso's fucking catchphrase is just so basic and so just, all right, that's it. That's all you got. Just yeet. But like, there's
yeah,
no merit to that word. It's just like you're saying it for the sake of saying it.
yeah,
Um, you know,
and I agree, and it's over, but I think it's the longevity of that will just be tiresome, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It feels like the that one song you hear on the radio right now all the time, but then as the month goes by, that you're never gonna hear that song again.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. It's like that anxiety song that's out,
Oh,
and
you don't wanna hear it again. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if you've heard of that song, because
Yeah.
yeah, the one where it uses the same the same rhythm or beat. I don't know. I'm not musically intelligent, but it uses the same kind of sounds as the "Somebody I Used to Know," that song by Goatee. Oh my God. That song is atrocious. I can't deal with that song. It makes me want to pull my eyes out.
Yeah.
But
But, I have a 9-year-old son, your brother, who loves that shit and will listen to that over and over, and I gotta put a stop to it 'cause I'm like, you're making my ears bleed right
it's
now,
giving you
you
anxiety.
know? Yeah, giving me anxiety. But that's just it. I mean, that part of another marketing strategy is to get into the ground floor with the younger crowd because that's your next generation of fans.
Is he
So,
watching wrestling? Is he watching it?
sometimes, he'll watch it here and there, and, like, I told him last week, I said, "Hey, you missed Raw. Gunther beat Jey Uso for the title." "No. You wanna watch it?" "No, I'm good." You know? He doesn't care that much about it.
He was
If I put it
devastated, but
on,
didn't want to watch it.
yeah, he's good with just hearing the results. He's got
He's like, "You already
other
ruined my day. I don't need."
Nah, I mean, I'll tell him, "Hey, you wanna watch Raw?" Or, "Nah, I'm okay.
Too busy playing Gorilla Tag.
Tell me what happened." You know?
Yeah.
But that's the generation, and again, having an Austin kind of character, a Rock kind of character, a DX kinda faction that can create something to identify with the public and drag those people back in is what they're missing.
Hopefully, we get
And
it
not
with
just
Ron Killings.
well, I mean, he needs more than, I mean, what we've got right now.
Yeah, agreed.
But you go back to the Attitude Era, and it was like everybody had something,
Yeah.
you know? And that's what made it more intriguing, is because it wasn't just one character who was the top dog and had a catchphrase, it was almost everybody, you know?
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Attitude Era, I feel like a lot of things were a lot less predictable, and I feel like nowadays it's kind of more, all right, yeah, all right, then this is gonna happen, then it happened, now this is gonna happen, then it happened, and now I'm saying this, not talking about all the stuff that comes out online, spoiling the stuff beforehand, and reading the cheat sheets. I'm totally disregarding the existence of those, but just if you are a wrestling fan and you've seen all the way from the Attitude era to now, it just kind of has a little bit of predictability with it. I don't know. Do you agree with that or?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, there's some things I'll be like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." Like the whole Jey Uso dropping the belt
Yeah,
last Monday was interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Um,
but
so I
it's
think,
not a thing to be like, oh, that's a huge deal. It's just sort of like, cool. I'm glad Gunther has it back. Just like you said with
well,
my brother.
you're more
He kind of didn't care.
you're more of a casual fan, so I don't think it's a big deal to you. But I think it was definitely a big deal to those in house, and the Jey Uso fans at home. Um, but however big that may be, of the crowd. But again, I don't know. I'm sure he's moving a lot of merchandise, so I'm sure he's pretty popular. But again, it's still not that influential character that's going to identify with. I, Another part of the problem for me is nobody is like a Steve Austin or a Rock when it comes to um, being serious, and everything seems to be just haha now, you know? It's not there isn't a character that I can go, "Holy shit," you know? He's really a badass. Like, yeah, Braun Breaker's a badass and all that, but then some of the promos, you're kinda like, "Okay,"
And
you
then you
know?
see him online making these crappy fucking like TikTok, Instagram Reels videos, and you're just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you fucking Braun
I haven't seen
Breaker.
I've not seen those. He does that?
Yeah, he does them with his wife.
Oh,
The like
yeah.
his wife will do something and be like, oh, there was one. It was one that I saw where um there was something going on. It's like, all right, winner has to, uh, if you win, you cook for me at home. If I win, you cook for me at home. If you win, I take you out to eat. And talking to his wife about something. I don't remember what they were doing. And he won. And he's like, all right, now you got to cook me something. And then it cuts to them at a restaurant, and he's given the Braun Breaker look of like, I'm about to spear you. And then that's where the video ends.
Mm,
And I'm just
yes.
like, what
He
is this?
killed
This is not even funny.
these guys would be more over if they stayed off social media.
Yeah,
I mean, have your account private so it's just friends and family can see what the fuck you're doing, but having it public and doing that stuff just kills your character. I mean, it really does. And I don't care if people disagree with me, that's fine, but it does. It tells me that you're not really Braun Breaker on TV. So when I watch on Monday night, it's like, okay.
but you already know it's fake. It's
No, you have to get
fake.
lost in it. You have to get lost in it. The less I see of you outside of the program, that medium, the better for you and your character.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, could
agree.
you imagine Steve Austin in 1997 going onto Instagram and doing shit with I mean, he does stuff with his cats right now, which is hilarious, but he's doesn't have a character on TV
Yeah,
anymore.
now he can be himself.
Yeah, now you can be now's the time for that shit.
Yeah, I agree.
But to do it now when you're trying to get over a character and trying to build something up in a company, I think it's just ridiculous. You know, I see it from other people, you know, other talent out there. I hadn't seen the Braun Breaker ones, but I've seen it from other talent. It's
I'll
kinda like,
I'll have to
you
send it
know
to you after we're done with this episode, but
but I remember back in the day, there was, uh, you know, when all the social media really started blowing up and everything, and WWE told them, you know, "You have your WWE social media account." And there was a big uproar over it from the fans and from the talent. So that's when they said, "Okay, you can do whatever you want." And that
lame.
was the wrong thing to do. That was a wrong again, giving
Yeah,
into the fucking small group of whiny little children instead of going, "No,
fuck the
we're protecting
fans.
our brand.
Yeah,
You wanna go somewhere else and go somewhere else." I mean, a a lot of people, you know, talk about going to AEW and all that for the money. Go for the money. But if you want your legacy in this industry to mean something, WWE is the place to be.
yeah,
So, and you know, that's when you get the serious talent who want to be there, who really want to be a part of history and make WWE, you know, continue to be the greatest brand this industry has ever seen. But if you're just wanting to get TikTok famous and Instagram famous, and you're just killing the character, you're hurting
yeah.
the brand,
These guys are
in my
already
opinion.
famous.
Yeah,
What do you care about TikTok followers or likes or whatever the fuck? It's like just you're already on TV around the fucking world. You're on a streaming service, Netflix and, USA Network, whatever. And what else more do you want? Like, sure,
well,
it's cool to have your little social medias, but like you're killing your character at that point, like you
yeah.
said. And
But
why
I think a
why
lot of
not
them,
use it to? I mean, you look at Drew McIntyre's social media, and I feel like he kind of uses it with his character a little bit. I don't know if you can agree with that or not, but use the social media platform to propel your character a little more. You know?
yeah. Well, a lot of them I think are so more interested in propelling themselves because, well, what if I get released in a month? I got to build something else in the meantime. It's like, well, you know, you can still build it after that. I mean, you're missed more when you're gone,
Yeah,
you know?
our truth.
So, right, right. I mean, you're worth more. But if I see who you are and that's who you are while you're trying to be a character, and you're killing the character already because you're not the same person on social media, why am I going to care when you're gone?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had some people who have left or been released from WWE, some females who have built a brand, but they've gone to OnlyFans and done stuff like that. And, you know, but you don't need to be doing that stuff now while you're still at WWE. That still would sell after your release. I mean, I just don't
OWF,
get
only
it.
wrestling fans.
You know,
Start your
whole new
own league.
promote, whole new brand. Uh, but yeah, I just think that social media has helped kill the industry as well as far as building characters and stuff like that. And if we could find a way to just keep them off social media or just tell them keep it private between your friends and family and
Tell everybody
you
that,
know
not just the
the
wrestlers, but
fans.
everybody in the world. Just
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
off social media.
Mine's all private. I mean, I don't that
Yeah.
anybody have access. Just anybody have access to who I am or my family. I mean, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah. I don't know. Just stay off
Just my
social media.
opinion.
Just disconnect yourself every now and then. Get
Yeah,
off of it. Stop looking at people's stories you don't even know, because what does it matter? You don't even talk to them. Why are you looking at their stories? It's weird.
yeah. Well, yeah. People have too much time in our hands.
Too much time on their hands, but not enough bread in their wallets. I don't know.
There you go.
Put that on the shirt.
Yeah,
New merch coming out from Doyledin.
yeah.
There it
Not enough
is.
bread in your wallet.
Yeah, put bread in your wallet. But anyways, I don't know. Do we have anything else to add in terms of wrestling or w-
No, I think that's pretty much it for this week. I mean, we got to just stay tuned to
stay
SmackDown
tuned?
and Raw coming up, and as we get closer and closer to Goldberg versus Gunther, and you hear my neighbor's dog barking, of course, because they just can't keep
It's
it.
okay. He likes the show.
Yeah, it's a bark of approval.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, it's just going to be interesting few weeks, especially with the ladies division with Liv out. How are they going to capitalize on that, and how long is she out for?
yeah, agreed.
Where does
But
Ron Killings go next?
who knows, man? Who knows? Who knows what they'll
Does
do?
Gunther
I
join
feel
the
like,
faction?
well, because do you think they're kind of scrambling about him right now? Do you think they're kind of like scrambling things to write down? Oh shit! Now that they want him, now we have to bring him back in. What are we gonna do? Where's he gonna go now?
Yeah, I'm sure that was the case the first weekend, but I'm sure they have it all figured out now.
Gotcha, gotcha. They
Yeah.
just asked ChatGPT what's the best thing to do, and then they just use it.
It might be a better way to go. Uh,
That's what you could do now. Just ask ChatGPT, what do I come up with for this? All right, here you go.
yeah, yeah.
It's crazy.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's using that.
Yeah,
Uh, but I mean, they have a big creative team these days, I guess. I mean, it wasn't like it was back in the day, but they got all these producers that work on everything, and I'm sure they've come up with something good, and hopefully it pans out for Ron Killings and justifies the re-signing.
yeah, yeah. Agreed. But only time will tell.
Yeah, but
But
should be a good week of TV coming up, and you know, on the way to the next Saturday night's main event, the July 12th in Atlanta, Georgia. So
yeah,
we'll see what
yeah. And go
King of
check
the
out
Ring.
our
or-
episode on long legs. It's not wrestling related, kind of off the script, but go check it out. Go watch the movie and then watch us talk about it. It's on Disney Plus, Hulu, whatever.
Yeah,
Kind of a little fun episode we wanted to do, just separate from our
yeah,
normal shtick. But yeah,
no, absolutely. But
yeah,
yeah, so we'll see what happens, and we'll keep it going, and check back in next week and give a rundown of Raw and SmackDown, and
yeah. Let's see what happens.
call it.
Do you want to do another episode where we talk about a specific, uh, you know, Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-view?
Yeah, we can see how the week progresses and go from there.
All right. I don't know, because last time we did long legs, and a lot of stuff happened between the last episode and now.
Yeah,
So who
recap the
knows?
week, one show.
Yeah, but anyways,
Yeah.
I think we've said all we needed to say. got all the air off our chest, and yeah, this is the Doyledin podcast. Have a good day. Have a good night. Whatever your time zone may be. Don't forget to have a good life. See you guys. Oh, and stay Doyledin.